early on, I had 2 characters in my top 3, and they're still there.
Oh yeah.
They're Ken and Jury.
Yeah. And I would agree with those two. I don't think that the lack of performance by Ken and the fact that Jury couldn't take it against Blanca in the end here on Punk or Nephew's behalf, that doesn't shake them from being a couple of the best in the game.
Yeah, I don't know. They stuck out so early for me. I mean, for most people, it's not like I was, alone in thinking this. It's a very common opinion. But I've never wavered on that. Like, I'm 100% confident that these 2 characters are in the top 3. And then early on, when everyone's hyping JP up that much, I never actually put him in my top 3. I was like, I don't know if this guy's even top 5, even though I think he's very good. Like, I think he's a high tier character. But if we're looking at top 3, that's top tier. And top 5 would be like the upper end of high tier, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I would think he's kind of like he'll settle in high mid tier, and I think that's a good place for I think that's a good place for a grappling type, and I think that's a good place for a zoning type. I don't think you want those type of characters to be amongst the best in your game, because while that means it's fun for the players that use those characters, it's really not fun for everybody else. And we've talked about the polarization of having high tier grapplers and how that's hard to do. They've taken a different approach to it in this game, and I think that that's interesting, and we'll continue to explore it. Maybe the grapplers are closer to everybody else with the way things are balanced around here, and maybe the same is true for JP, but I don't think that he's a top 5 character at this point. I know that's gonna make a lot of people kind of writhe and wriggle in their seats, but they'd have to prove it to me. And again, look at the results for CEO. He's popular, he's apparently easy to use, at least in doing his basic stuff that will frustrate everybody, but he's also nowhere to be seen once we get to top 24. So
I agree somewhat with you, but not entirely, because I think he's definitely not top 3, but I could see him being top 5.
Yeah, and well, he might be, but I think that Capcom doesn't really want that. I don't think the community really wants that, and think so. Even if he is, like you said earlier in a previous video, we will probably see him get nerfed to make sure that he sits around at like high mid at best, because I don't think you really want a character that's frustrating everybody when they're winning to be as prominent and to have those tools. I think you really got to earn your wins with JP, and that's going to be becoming more and more the case as people figure him out. So, so top 5 maybe is what you say for him?
I have a bunch of characters that are potential top 5s, and I haven't been able to quite decide. The only thing I have locked in is Jury and Ken are definitely top 3 in my opinion, and then I have a bundle of maybe 5-6 characters to fill out that top 5, but I haven't solidified it. So
well, let's start with Luke, because Luke has been one that I think Japan puts way up there. The one that men already used primarily to get into top 8 and to win the tournament. And we saw plenty of Lukes, not only at the very beginning at the 192 mark, where there are 192 players still left in. There were 18 Lukes. By the end of it, there were 3 Lukes in the top 24, and then I think we just had Mena RD in the top 8. But he was still a fairly prominent character, and that's what you expect. He's the new Ryu, the new protagonist. They want him to be prominent, especially in the vanilla version of the game. So he's got a lot going for him, but you're not sure he's a top 5er.
I'm sure Luke is top 5. In Luke's case, I'm more wavering if he's top 3 or top 5.
Oh, okay, right. We were talking about top 3.
He's the character that's closest to top 3 for me. But I can't like solidify him in my mind as top 3 the same way I can Ken and Jury. And so I would have him in top 5. I just can't really solidify him as top 3 or top 5. And then I have a bunch of characters that are like potentially top 5.
Who is it that's making it so you can't solidify Luke in the top 3?
Guile and Cammy. I would say.
Cammy is interesting. We did see Punk use Cammy. We also saw the likes of Justin Wong use Cammy, and he went out in 13th place. Punk, of course, got all the way up to 3rd place. And you always expect this character to be one of the best, because at least since Street Fighter 4, she has been an absolute terror for a lot of people. I think that they took that into account. They, being Capcom, took that into account and went out of their way to make sure that a lot of the things that made her unbalanced or gave her unfair advantages were tweaked in a way, whether that be like timing on a dive kick or hurt boxes or whatever, damage output. I've heard back and forth that she has below average damage output, and then it's just that people don't know how to hit with her correctly, and she's got plenty of damage. But she's definitely still the same character in terms of her zipping around the stage and having speed and hitting you when you're not ready, but having solid offense and not being too worried about projectiles because of her maneuvers. So I do think that she's got a lot of tools. I just haven't seen the results with her, and I'm hesitant to put her above like high mid.
I mean, we haven't seen results with anyone yet, really. Like, not much.
Well, but Guile, for instance, like almost, I agree that he's got the makings for an absolute beast of a character, a top fiver for sure. But we're not seeing a lot of people use him. And like NuckleDu, sure, and Kaba, sure, and they're great. But like NuckleDu got 17th at this event too, for what that's worth. And Kaba jumped in at 5th.
NuckleDu went down to losers and pools though. Like, he had a very hard path. I'm trying to remember. I think I have it written down here actually, who he lost to in pools. Yes, he actually lost to a Swedish guy, Juicy Joe, from my home country of Sweden, playing JP. Took NuckleDu down,
and I hear that the JP Guile matchup is very difficult for Guile. It's like they're both playing that zoning game, and one can play it better than the other. So maybe just the fact that JP trumps Guile so hard, at least seemingly so, is enough to shake Guile and to promote JP up there.
Yeah, I mean, that's a thing, because JP, as I mentioned earlier, is one of the characters who I would consider a potential top 5. While we're on the subject of just general top 5, I've already said Ken and Jury are in my top 3 for sure. We already touched now on Luke, Guile, and Cammy. The other characters that I have up there as potentials, because that's already 5 characters right there, are JP, DJ, who I use, and Chun-Li.
Chun-Li is interesting. I was especially afraid of Chun-Li during the beta. I think she's got a lot of the tools that she needs horizontally wise. It might just be that other characters do what she wants to do more effectively than her. I see her power, but I also hear so often that Chun-Li has like really bad matchups or really crappy situations that I haven't seen directly, but I keep hearing about this. And then you look at the results and like she's not the most popular character. We always hear about how technical and difficult to play she is. So it might be that if you want to win and you want an easier path to victory, but the same sort of style of play, that you might play Jury instead, because she's also putting the slow fireballs and controlling that horizontal space exceptionally well. But she's got just a straight DP where Chun-Li has to, juggle all these anti-airs and whatnot. So I really thought Chun-Li was high tier. I think she's very good, and I think people tend to underrate her, if anything, but I'm not so sold that she's a top 5er when you have the likes of, like you said, DJ. DJ's mobility and ability to play kind of from a lot of different ranges really effectively is really good to me. I haven't seen, again, I keep going back, I haven't seen the results, and when I say that, I mean, like, I haven't felt the pressure when I'm playing online against DJs really, and I haven't felt like oh my gosh, this is a mountain of a character that I'm gonna have to figure out. I've had decent success, and I've been able to see where there are holes in the game, where the weaknesses technically are, where you can get hits and whatnot. But he is a very strong character. He's got the fastest drive rush. He can zip up on you from anywhere on the screen, but he also's got a really good zoning game. It's just that a lot of those moves he does commit him to non-DI, or makes him susceptible to DI because he can't cancel out of them, or he's stuck in animations for a while. So there's that. But I think I would put him in the running for top 5 for me. I'm not seeing so we got Jury, we've got Luke, we've got Ken. I agree with all those. I think DJ's up there.
On both Chun-Li and DJ. That's the thing as well, is you mentioned they have all these different options and these different things that they need to juggle. And that's why you don't feel the pressure from them yet. Because
I haven't figured it out yet.
Give it 3 months, and the DJ and Chun-Li players are going to have so much stuff that you're going to be like, oh my god, what is going on? Is my prediction.
Okay, that's
on those
fair.
2 characters. Yeah.
Clip that.
Yeah, clip that, and hold it against me in 3 months if I'm wrong. But I really think DJ and Chun-Li are going to shine a lot more given time. On Honda, oh man, I don't even know. Like, he's too good to call a scrub killer, right?
Although he is a scrub killer, and he can be played that way. but he does have solid components to him where you can just go out and butt slam all day and throw out headbutts, but you can also play patiently, and that's a legitimate approach for this character, where it, especially I think it's because of the mechanics in the game, but that's something that Hondas have had to traditionally rely on, like the gimmicky side of things, and he doesn't have to, but he can in Street Fighter 6, and to me that's scary, at least to the point where we need to explore and just see, because maybe that unlocks this character in a way we've never seen him before.
Entirely possible, but I need to put like an asterisk next to my personal opinion on Honda, because as I said, I play DJ, and I feel like DJ kind of cheats that matchup, because I can bait the EX headbutt with a fake fireball, and there's no risk involved for me. Like, if he doesn't bite, okay, you know, nothing happened to me. So like, if he bites, I get a huge punish. If he doesn't bite, okay, who cares?
What do you do if he's just throwing out headbutt and like, say you do a fake one and he does the headbutt? Do you use a strike, or do you go for a drive impact, or you try to perfect parry?
I would probably go for the parry in that situation.
Okay.
But for the most part, DJ can also, you know, space in regular fireballs, and it makes it very annoying for the Honda to know, like, okay, how do I want to approach this? And a lot of Hondas I played against actually kind of gave up on the headbutt game entirely, because it was so frustrating trying to figure out, you know, oh, what do I even do here? And if you get him to give up on the headbutt, you know, I think that's a good matchup, no? Like, that's how it feels to me.
I mean, that's like getting rid of jump. That's like taking jump off the table. It's like, once you've got a character doing, or a person doing that, they're probably going to lose.
So it's like, early on, you know, Honda and DJ players can hit me up, disagree, if they, or agree for that matter. But for me, it feels like DJ kind of doesn't have to deal with the stuff that everyone else is dealing with when it comes to Honda.
Tell me about Kimberly, because she's all over the place. She's obviously very oppressive right now. I think that she's still the kind of character that she's got some solid stuff, and especially when she hits you, and I lose to Kimberly's plenty, but I do think she's the type similar to JP, where it's easy to throw all your BS at the other person, and they're going to have to figure out over time where the holes are, where, you know, that, like for instance, I only recently realized that if she does her teleports, and she can do two different kinds of teleports, and also one of them is pink spray, which is similar to what her drive impact looks like, and when you're dealing with that mental stack, that's a real thing, you know. But if I see teleport, I realize I can just do crouching medium kick or medium punch, and it beats both of them on reaction to what she's doing. So things like that, is that when you have a Kimberly that can freely do that versus a Kimberly that can't freely do that anymore, the more things you take off the table, the less the mental stack is. And I wonder if that's going to whittle down to where she doesn't have enough of it to be you know, the force that she is right now. Where's that going to leave her? I think mid-tier at worst, but I'm not sure that she's a top 5, but I know that there are people that would argue that she is.
Yeah, and I think Kimberly is a good character. I really don't see any argument for why not, because she has a lot of good tools. But in line with what you were talking about, we saw some matches at CEO that were absolutely incredible. One of them was Phenom versus Justin Wong, which was so slow, so methodical, so incredibly patient on both players. And even the best of Kimberly players, like someone like Shine, who's been doing amazing with her, and I love watching, how would someone like Shine, who's amazing at Kimberly, approach this type of opponent? And it just seems very difficult for me, because I feel like Kimberly, like you were saying, you can kind of seal her options, and someone who is that patient and that good is gonna do that. And that's like, if you can be shut down by patient play, which I think Kimberly can, I can't see you in top 5.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm getting off the train too, is that she's got some crazy stuff, and she's gonna beat people that aren't ready. But once people know and are ready and are playing patiently and aren't just overwhelmed by, is she gonna run up and slide or overhead and put me in that weird block shimmy situation? Like, she gets away with some stuff, but I don't think it's enough to take her into the top 5 solidly. So, okay, gun to your head. Let's try to come up with a list of our top 5 here. So, guns to your head. Don't freak out.
Okay, I can't do like an internal ranking, but if I had to at this stage of the game pick a top 5, Ken and Jury are already in there.
Ken and Jury,
we already established there. They're locked for me. I think Luke has to be in there.
I do too. I agree with these so far. This is also my top 5 thus far.
I do believe both Chun and JP have a good shot at being top 5, but I haven't seen. I feel like JP is still falling off a bit, and I haven't seen enough from Chun yet, although I believe if I were investing in stocks, I would invest in Chun. Let me put it that way.
Okay.
So both JP and Chun, I would actually count away from my top 5, which leaves me here with Cammy, Guile, and DJ for the last 2 slots.
Who gets kicked out? Cammy, Guile, DJ.
Okay, I think that Cammy is similar to Jury, but Jury has a few more tools under her belt. So I would probably have to put Cammy out just because I think Jury does similar things, but a little bit better. Whereas I think DJ and Guile have more unique approaches and are probably the best at what they specifically do.
So do you think they win more matchups than Cammy does, though?
I've seen them lose less matchups.
That's like a weird Chinese riddle that my brain can't even wrap.
It's not that they necessarily win more matchups than Cammy, but I've seen Cammy struggle in matchups, whereas I haven't seen that as much with Guile and DJ.
But what about the JP Guile matchup? Apparently that's hell and knocks Knuckle-Doo into losers.
Okay. I've been playing Zangief as a sub. There's no matchup against JP that gets close to that, so Guile mates they don't at me, okay? Because like Zangief JP is an actually horrible matchup.
It feels like it from my point of view too, as the JP player. All right, so we're gonna say Cammy's number 6 and DJ and Guile are in the top 5.
I think that's where I'm at, yeah.
If it were me, I might do that, or I might switch Cammy and Guile. Okay. And I'm gonna, I said gun to her head, I'm gonna give it to Cammy because I'm seeing more people play Cammy and have more fruit with her. So that, but we might be wrong. But yeah, there it is. So I'm gonna say, I guess no, I don't agree with you. I slightly disagree with you, but those are our top 5s. I'll put a little graphic on the screen for you. And I'd like to hear from the people watching, especially now that we've had CEO. It's not a solid, like now we know for sure, but it's a new point of data. Who do you think are the current top 5 characters in Street Fighter 6? We're getting ready for EVOs just about a month away. Oh, by the way, tournament guy, do we have any major tournaments between now and EVO?
Yeah, we have Brussels Challenge, which is one of the biggest European events that's going to be happening. Red Bull Kumite, of course, this upcoming weekend, which is happening in South Africa this year, I believe. There are definitely more, but like if we're talking super majors, no, it's EVO. Like,
we're gonna have a few new data points on the chart though before we get to EVO, and that'll be the biggest one yet. And we're gonna see the most international competition, the highest we've seen as of thus far. Yeah, Nick, was there anything else that you want to talk about when it comes to the top 5 characters in Street Fighter 6 right now?
Not off the top of my head, but one thing I do want to mention is looking at a lot of footage, especially from lower played characters. I do think that this is a pretty healthily balanced game at the moment. I think a lot of the strength lies in the systems of the game rather than the characters themselves. So I really do think that at this point, every character feels viable to me. And by viable, I mean could win a major in the right hands. Except maybe Lily. I don't really believe
Poor
in
Lily.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Dream King.
But you do think Zangief could? I mean, there are some videos of Snake Eyes Zangief. I think there's a couple videos of Snake Eyes Zangief beasting on JPs. So it tells you the significance of that matchup.
I've been watching a lot of Snake Eyes. I'm watching a lot of Veggie. And watching both of these guys and like the tech they've found and the way they approach matchups, I think you need to be more patient than ever to play a character like Zangief in this game. Yeah. I definitely, again, I sub him, but I definitely can't. I'm just doing dumb stuff, and it's fun. But watching like actual players sit with Zangief, yeah, I think he has the potential to win a major.
Hey, thanks for checking out that clip from our Talkin' Block CEO 2023 discussion. If you'd like to hear the entire episode, you can do so right here. And if you just like another clip similar to this one, well, you can do so right here.